As the debate concluded, the lecture hall erupted into applause, with Jordan receiving a standing ovation from his peers. The sound echoed off the walls, a symphony of recognition celebrating not just his brilliance, but the spirit of resilience that had propelled him forward. For those who had doubted him, both his classmates and, most importantly, Professor Lawson, this was a monumental moment. Lawson stood frozen at the front of the room, confronted not only by a talented student he had underestimated, but also by his own biases and preconceived notions. With authority diminished and reputation at stake, he grappled with the undeniable truth that Jordan had laid bare. In the days following the debate, Jordan's triumph became a catalyst for change within the academic environment of the university. Many professors, recognizing the shift in perspective, began to openly acknowledge and appreciate the incredible talent present within the diverse student body. Conversations that had once revolved around elitism and homogeneity began to include themes of inclusivity and respect for all backgrounds. Classrooms became more dynamic as voices that had previously been marginalized found opportunities to speak and inspire others. The environment was changing, sparking a transformative dialogue about race, talent, and the profound importance of diversity in academia. Jordan's journey taught him that hard work and resilience could shatter the chains of prejudice. He transformed from a student who faced ridicule and skepticism into a beacon of excellence. With every challenge he overcame, he not only proved his worth, but also illuminated a path for others who felt undervalued. By the end of the semester, he was no longer just another name on the roster. He was a symbol of capability and excellence, a living testament to what could be achieved through determination and perseverance. As the years passed, Jordan continued to thrive. He delved deeper into the world of mathematics, pursuing advanced studies and conducting groundbreaking research. His impact echoed beyond the boundaries of the classroom. He emerged as a mentor and inspiration for younger students, especially those from backgrounds similar to his own. Every time he spoke about his journey, he reiterated the importance of believing in oneself and challenging the status quo. When graduation day finally arrived, Jordan walked across the stage with his head held high, a sense of pride swelling in his chest. As he accepted his diploma, he thought of everyone who had faced similar struggles. He saw their faces in the audience, family members supporting him, friends who had cheered him on, and classmates who had shared both the triumphs and trials of academic life. His heart swelled, not just for himself, but for those who would follow in his footsteps, students yearning for representation and validation in spaces that had long overlooked them. His journey reflected the potential of every individual to break through barriers, to inspire others, and to redefine what success looks like. Jordan knew he had not only changed his own life, but had also begun to pave the way for future generations of students who dreamt of success against the backdrop of adversity. From the depths of humiliation to the heights of triumph, Jordan Thompson had risen as a force of change. His story was a reminder that no matter the obstacles in one's path, the pursuit of excellence and the courage to stand up against prejudice could lead to profound transformation, both personally and within the broader landscape of education. As he took his first steps into the future, Jordan envisioned a world where every student, regardless of their background, could flourish and shine, empowered to chase their dreams without limits. The semester began, and the atmosphere in Professor Lawson's advanced mathematics class was electric, crackling with tension and competition. The students, mostly from privileged backgrounds, were not just peers. They were rivals, each eager to flaunt their intellect like a badge of honor. These were the cream of the crop, handpicked for their academic prowess, and Professor Lawson was well aware of it. He was a prominent figure in the mathematics department, known for both his brilliant mind and his harsh critiques. He had little patience for students he believed wouldn't meet his exacting standards, fostering an environment where only the strongest could thrive. As Jordan entered the class, he couldn't shake the feeling of being an outsider. While others chatted about their exclusive tutoring sessions and family legacies in academia, he focused on the work that had led him to this point. determination, late-night study sessions, and a passion for numbers that ignited his very being. With his first assignment ready to be submitted, his heart raced with a blend of hope and anxiety. He had poured every ounce of knowledge he had into the task, with dreams of gaining recognition finally materializing in front of him. But when the papers were handed back, the buoyancy of expectation quickly sank into a pit of humiliation. Dr. Lawson held up Jordan's assignment with a disdainful smirk, his voice cutting through the room like a knife. "It seems our school is admitting students who struggle with basic concepts." The words hung in the air, punctuated by the muffled laughter of his classmates. Jordan felt the heat of embarrassment flood his face. What was meant to be an achievement now felt like a glaring mark of failure. For a moment, fear threatened to unravel his confidence, leaving him vulnerable in a room full of judgment. He glanced around, catching the eyes of some of his peers, whose expressions ranged from surprised confusion to outright amusement. Even in their snickers, Jordan could see the challenge. They were ready to pounce on any weakness. Yet deep inside, a spark ignited. He could not let a single comment define his journey. He had dreams, aspirations, and, most importantly, an undeniable passion for mathematics that refused to be extinguished. In the following days, Jordan transformed the embarrassment into fuel for his fire. He spent hours poring over textbooks, seeking answers to questions that twisted his mind. He sought help from academic resources, attended study groups, and even approached his older classmates who had once been derided themselves. Every equation was a stepping stone. Every theorem he memorized a testament to his resilience. Even as the ridicule echoed in his mind, another voice surfaced, louder and clearer, a voice that dared him to prove them all wrong. Jordan's determination crystallized as he encountered more assignments and projects. He adopted a regimented routine, balancing his classes with fervent study sessions and relentless practice. Late nights in the library became his comfort zone. The fluorescent lights overhead felt like beacons guiding him towards his goals. As days turned into weeks, he began to master the complex theories that had once intimidated him. The material that had seemed insurmountable transformed into intricate puzzles that he could piece together with ease. Gradually, he began to surprise himself. What started as a desire to redeem his self-esteem evolved into a competitive edge. He immersed himself in advanced topics outside the syllabus, uncovering the beauty of mathematics and forging a connection to it that was personal and profound. By the time the next assignment rolled around, Jordan was prepared, not just to complete it, but to excel. As he submitted his work, he felt a surge of confidence wash over him. It was more than just a paper. It was a declaration of his capabilities, an assertion that he would not be defined by stereotypes or limitations imposed upon him. He was ready to rise from the ashes of disdain to reclaim his narrative, proving that he was more than capable of shining in a class built on elitism and prejudice. Little did Professor Lawson know, the quiet student he had dismissed was about to dismantle the very walls of expectation that loomed over him. The journey from embarrassment to empowerment had only just begun. Jordan was committed to proving that excellence knows no boundaries, not even those forged from bias. He was prepared to take his place in the world, one equation at a time. Jordan decided that the best way to respond to ridicule was through sheer determination. He refused to let the disparaging comment from Professor Lawson define his abilities or leisure his aspirations. Instead, he made a commitment to himself. He would rise above the skepticism that surrounded him. He spent countless hours in the library, poring over textbooks, solving intricate problems, and immersing himself in advanced theories that seemed to dance just beyond his grasp. Every ounce of adversity became fuel for his resolve. Every moment of doubt was met with relentless effort. As weeks passed, a profound transformation began to unfold within him. The once daunting concepts that had made seasoned students groan in frustration became familiar territory. What started as an uphill battle gradually morphed into a mountain he was more than capable of climbing. Jordan became a fixture in the library, often the last to leave as he immersed himself in topics ranging from calculus to abstract algebra. His studying habits evolved into a rigorous routine where he tackled problems late into the night, absorbed in the beauty of mathematics. On one fateful day, after an exhaustive, grueling lecture that had left the entire class reeling, Professor Lawson announced an impromptu quiz. The classroom buzzed in a cacophony of dismay and anxiety as students exchanged worried glances, murmuring about the difficulty of the material they had just covered. Jordan, however, sensed an extraordinary opportunity lurking beneath the surface. This was his moment to shine, a chance not only to demonstrate his newfound knowledge, but to redefine how his peers, and particularly Professor Lawson, viewed his potential. As the quiz papers were distributed, Jordan's heart raced, but this time it was with excitement, not fear. Armed with the knowledge he had accumulated over the past weeks, he felt a tide of confidence surging within him. He quickly glanced around the classroom, noting the anxious expressions on the faces of his classmates, who were accustomed to the comfort of high grades and flawless performance. They were tense, but in that moment, he knew that he had prepared for this challenge like a soldier ready for battle. The quiz began, and Jordan dove in, tackling each question with clarity and precision. The equations seemed to flow from his mind to his paper, connecting seamlessly like chains of logic he had painstakingly forged. Time slipped away as he worked, and he felt the weight of the previous month's efforts coalesce into this single opportunity, a chance to showcase his unwavering dedication. When the professor called time and collected the papers, the room was thick with anticipation. Moments later, as Professor Lawson returned to the front of the classroom with a stack of graded quizzes, he began to read through the scores. The room erupted with murmurs and gasps as the top scores were unveiled, but when Jordan's name topped the list by a landslide, a palpable silence fell over his classmates. Jordan's heart raced, not only from joy but from a sense of vindication. Professor Lawson's face twisted into disbelief as he glanced at Jordan, his expression unable to mask the surprise. Here was a student he had dismissed, now standing at the pinnacle of academic achievement in a room full of contenders. The moment felt electric, an awakening for Jordan and a turning point in the narrative that had surrounded him since he arrived on campus. As his classmates' initial shock began to transform into admiration and respect, Jordan recognized that this moment was about more than just a quiz score. He had not only proven his intelligence, but had also planted seeds of doubt in the minds of his peers and professors. They could no longer ignore his talent or the hard work he had put in to earn his place among them. In that classroom, the dynamic shifted. What had begun as an environment of elitism was now being challenged by the relentless spirit of a determined student. With his heart swelling with pride and his mind racing with possibilities, Jordan realized that this was just the beginning. He was ready to seize every opportunity, to continue defying expectations placed upon him, and to carve out a path for himself in the world of mathematics, one where his brilliance would shine brightly, undeniable in its luminescence. This ignited fire within him was not just about personal victory. It was the start of a journey meant to inspire others who felt overlooked or underestimated. Jordan was ready to embrace the challenge, and he would rise to meet it time and again. But Professor Lawson was not one to back down easily, particularly when his authority had been challenged. Determined to regain his foothold and quash any seeds of doubt that had begun to sprout in the minds of his students and colleagues, he devised an elaborate public challenge, an open class debate centered around a complex mathematical theorem. The event was meticulously planned, designed to showcase what Lawson believed were the brightest minds in his class, with the unspoken intention to reaffirm his racial assumptions regarding student capabilities. When news of the debate spread, the atmosphere among the students shifted dramatically. Many viewed it as a golden opportunity, while others felt the weight of anxiety. They had been drawn into a battleground where their skills would be publicly scrutinized. Jordan, however, felt a mix of apprehension and determination. The stakes were high, and while he did not want to be a puppet in Lawson's game, he knew he couldn't back down. Accepting the challenge meant stepping into the arena with not only his classmates, but against a professor who would stop at nothing to reinforce his deeply ingrained biases. As the day of the debate approached, tension filled the air. The classroom buzzed with chatter, students preparing their arguments and practicing their speaking points. While some classmates seemed eager to showcase their knowledge and outshine others, Jordan took a different approach. He spent hours sifting through research and refining his arguments, wanting to ensure that when he spoke, every word would carry conviction and clarity. He knew this was more than just a debate. It was an opportunity to dismantle stereotypes and prove the true essence of intelligence was not confined to one's background or race. On the day of the debate, the lecture hall was packed to capacity. Fellow students filled the seats, some eager to support Jordan, while others were ready to pounce on any misstep. The atmosphere crackled with energy, a bubble of nervous anticipation hanging over the crowd. As Professor Lawson started the proceedings, introducing the theorem that was under examination, Jordan felt a flutter of nerves but steeled himself. He remembered the countless hours he had spent studying, the sacrifices he had made, and the passion that fueled his journey. As the debate began, chaos erupted. Arguments flared and voices rose. Students were quick to attack, trying to rip apart each other's logic and grasp at the slightest hint of a flaw. Yet at the center of this storm stood Jordan, unwavering. He listened intently, waiting for his moment to address the points raised against him. When it came time to speak, he exuded confidence, and with a steady voice, he dissected the complex formulas with clarity and precision. As he presented his arguments, Jordan deftly countered the critiques leveled against him with ease, using both logic and evidence to support his claims. The shockwaves rippled through the audience as they witnessed a transformative moment. The student who had once been underestimated was now a formidable opponent, commanding the space with his knowledge and presence. His classmates, who initially approached the debate with skepticism, found themselves captivated by Jordan's insights. He weaved through complex theories, illustrating his points with real-world applications and rigorous reasoning. The air in the room shifted, and murmurs of admiration circulated among the students as they began to see him not just as a rising star, but as a peer who belonged among them, one who obliterated the stereotype of what a student in advanced mathematics ought to be. Professor Lawson's frustration became evident, his facade of calm beginning to crack. The longer the debate unfolded, the more it became clear that Jordan's intellect could not be dismissed. With his arguments landing one after another, Jordan transformed the narrative that had initially sought to box him in. As the debate neared its conclusion, it was not just a battle of wits, but a historic moment, a testament to change. Jordan's journey had not only challenged assumptions, but had begun to shift the perspective of those who witnessed it. In this defining moment, he stood not only for himself, but for every student who had ever felt underestimated. The debate concluded, leaving a dramatic silence in its wake, and for the first time, a new understanding reverberated through the room. Brilliance knows no boundaries, and Jordan Thompson was a living testament to that truth. In the heart of a prestigious university, renowned for its elite academic programs, a fresh-faced student named Jordan Thompson stepped onto campus. With his backpack slung over one shoulder and an enthusiastic grin, he was filled with dreams of success and a burning desire to make a name for himself. Jordan, a brilliant mathematician, had earned a scholarship against all odds, overcoming obstacles that threatened to stifle his aspirations. As a black student in a predominantly white institution, he found himself a representative of change, but he also faced a daunting challenge: the biases and misconceptions that often overshadowed his abilities. The air was electric as he strode through the bustling campus, surrounded by towering, ivy-covered buildings and throngs of students chatting about their classes. Jordan felt both excited and apprehensive, the thrill of academic pursuit mingling with the heavy weight of expectation. He could sense the skepticism from some of the elite professors who had built their reputations on the backs of students who looked nothing like him. They were used to a specific kind of student, one that fit neatly into their preconceived molds of success and capability. As he approached his first class, Introduction to Advanced Mathematics, he caught sight of the professor, Dr. Lawson. With his prestige and accolades, Lawson was a titan in the world of academia, known for his cutting remarks and high standards. Jordan's heart raced as he took a seat among his peers, who all appeared confident and at ease. He understood the stakes. Not only would he have to prove his academic prowess, but he would also have to combat their assumptions about his abilities based solely on the color of his skin. The first day of class was a whirlwind of equations and theorems, and as the discussions grew more intense, Jordan found himself contributing insights that surprised even himself. He saw the glint of interest in Dr. Lawson's eyes when he answered a particularly challenging question, but immediately the professor tempered his enthusiasm with a sardonic smile. "It's a decent effort, Jordan, but don't kid yourself. This is just an introduction. Real math will come later," Lawson quipped, his tone dripping with condescension. Although a knot of humiliation twisted in his stomach, Jordan resolved not to let these moments deter him. He had faced adversity before, and he was determined to rise above it. Day after day, he immersed himself in the material, often staying late in the library, surrounded by stacks of textbooks filled with complex formulas and theories. He studied not just to keep up, but to gain mastery, pushing himself to decode the very language of mathematics that so intimidated others. As weeks passed, Jordan began to surprise himself. He wasn't just learning, he was thriving. His passion for math became evident, and with each solved problem, his confidence grew. He participated more in class discussions, offering insights that challenged his classmates and caught Dr. Lawson's attention. Although the professor often threw sharp criticisms in his direction, the glint of surprise in Lawson's eyes became increasingly harder to suppress. Jordan knew that he was more than a number or a demographic statistic. He was a force of intellect and creativity poised to break through the barriers that sought to confine him. Each class was a new opportunity, and though doubts swirled around him like autumn leaves, he learned to navigate the storm with grace. In the coming weeks, Jordan's resilience would put him on a collision course with the entrenched systems of discrimination that bubbled just beneath the surface. As he prepared for the first major examination of the semester, unexpectedly, he felt not only the pressure of the test itself, but the weight of representation on his shoulders. He wanted desperately to break down the walls of bias that loomed large, showing that he was not just an outlier, but an exemplar of brilliance. Little did the professors know, they had underestimated him. The underdog was destined to rise.